Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Thursday, March 21st, 2024. This is live stream number 1036. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. We're just hanging out, having some fun, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then normally I will pontificate about various different things going on in our hobby. But we are certainly not engaged in any strenuous mental heavy lifting by any stretch of the imagination, just hanging out, having some fun. Now, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, this is a live show, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, maybe there's something you'd like to discuss after the news portion of the show, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is W. Forge, as well as Wallona's Cave, Jose Fernandez, Semper Buffo, Kevin R. Smith, Kevin King, Dengar the Mighty, Garland, Matthew Constantine, and Travis Williams are all hanging in chat as the show kicks off. And strangely enough, I had another frog in my throat this evening. Started off last night's show the same way. Gotta go. It's like, get out of here, Kermit. Yes. So welcome, everybody. Good to see you all tonight. And stay tuned, because following the news, I will be revealing the winner of the core book for Mutineer Zero, as well as Ad Astra in PDF. So stay tuned for that, because I will have the reveal in just a bit. Very nice. Pete's Dracolich is with us. It's kind of a funny play on Pete's Dragon. I like that. That's pretty wild. I believe this might be Pete's Dracolich's first visit with us in chat, so welcome aboard. Thanks for coming by and hanging out. And yes, the lovely and talented Sarah D is with us. She is our current chat moderator, so she knows how to wield that band hammer with force and prejudice. So behave yourself, everybody. Actually, it's not something we ever really have to worry too much about. One of the reasons why I do have the 48-hour thing for subscribers is people can't just float by and be like, oh, Matthew Constantine says it's weirdly warm and windy there, so the air quality is crap. They've been clearing their throat almost constantly. Fleming Heron is also with us. He is another of our chat moderators, although he points out he is neither lovely nor talented. Dengar the Mighty says they're also watching as the Savage Worlds science fiction companion Kickstarter is coming to an end. They backed it, and they are excited for it, plus all of the tabletop gaming news that I happen to bring to you. Well, very nice, very cool. The science fiction companion Kickstarter lasted this long? Seems like a while back that I shared the news piece for it. Pretty wild, pretty wild. You know, I still got to get my review for Holler out there. I'm going to talk a little bit about videos after the news. So stay tuned for that. I've been bouncing around some ideas as far as the videos here on the channel, because I have had people tell me, I've actually had quite a few people tell me I release too much content. Do new. So Sarah D says, Jeff just has to psych me up. It looks like they're going to be flying solo moderating. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Fleming Heron says they're questioning if they're lovely and talented as well. I don't know. Sarah D pays me to say, no, I'm kidding. Her check's clear on a weekly basis. I don't know. I don't know what to tell Flaming Heron. Because I am certainly not a complimentary type of person. All right, let's jump on into the news because I've got a good mix of news stories tonight. Currently making its way into stores is Divinus. And here's the skinny from Lucky Duck Games. Divinus is a competitive legacy tile-laying digital hybrid game, say that 5 times fast, in which you play as a demigod seeking to gain the favor of the gods and ascend to a new pantheon. Players embark on a 12-scenario campaign that will see them exploring lands, completing quests, interacting with gods, and impacting the outcome of the epic clash between Greek and Norse pantheons. At the beginning of each campaign scenario, players open a sealed box of new quests, components, stickers, gods, gameplay mechanisms, and more. The Divinus app provides a narrative for players and sets the stakes for what is to come. Each turn, players spend dice from their pool to explore new tiles from the world board. Laying tiles into their demigod map, they must place tiles adjacent to one another and with matching features while working toward overall quest and god goals. Throughout the campaign, players make permanent changes to their demigods by collecting powerful artifacts, forging their dice by altering their faces, and earning titles for the feats they achieve. Players will also permanently change the game world by altering tiles and placing new locations, heroes, and monsters onto the map tiles. When players complete quests or other significant goals, they can make pivotal decisions through the Divinus app, or Divinus. I think it's Divinus or Divinus. I'll say Divinus since we are talking about deities and such. Players will decide the outcome of the dilemmas, such as choosing which side is victorious in battle, building or destroying a holy site, and choosing whether a god lives or dies. Whichever outcome the player chooses, the game components may be changed, and the Divinus app will remember and present contextual options in the future that are impacted by the decision. Returning to a fort that you helped the Norse gods build could you see you praised, while demigods favored by the Greek pantheon could be shunned. The Divinus campaign is ideally played over several game sessions due to the persistent and changing world. The rulebook grows with each scenario as new rules and content are unlocked. Once the campaign is complete, players can replay their unique copy of Divinus with a post-campaign infinite replayability mode. Divinus is for 2 to 4 players, ages 10 and up, plays in 45 to 60 minutes, carries an MSRP of $69.95. It is making its way into stores right now. I believe some stores may already have this. Something of interest that I have noticed over the past few years is how many Lucky Duck Games releases actually do have a digital component. It is something seemingly that they are very, very excited about and really looking to incorporate in their games. Got to be honest, I'm sometimes a little leery about games that you need an app to play. I do not know if the app is a must to play this. I'm going to take a guess it probably is. And one of the reasons why I mentioned that I'm usually kind of up in the air is because what if the app is no longer supported and there's an update to iOS or Android and it conflicts with that app? Now the app doesn't launch, doesn't work, and you can't play the game. So I'm always got a little... Anyway, Matthew Constantine says, I should say Kevin King says, they're in D.C. for work this week, thought the wind off the buildings was going to blow them down the road yesterday. And Matthew Constantine says, yeah, they were out on the National Mall last night, and it was something else. I have to say, when Elliot and I were up in Lake Geneva last weekend, I was not too happy with how windy it was, because it was bad enough it was cold, but the wind was howling. It was crazy. And funny enough, it looks like there's going to be snow up in Lake Geneva again this weekend. Now, there wasn't snow last weekend, but there was a year ago for Gary Kahn, and it looks like it's going to happen again. They're talking 7 inches of snow. And funny enough, when we were up there last year, it was about 6 inches of snow that came down. It was like blizzard conditions for a few hours in Lake Geneva. It was wild. Flaming Heron says, used to be the same when you had board games which involved VHS components back in the day. What if my VCR suddenly stopped working? Or if the VHS tape broke? Semper Baffo says, in Ottawa, it's cold and windy tonight. Yeah, I think the weather throughout North America right now is kind of crappy. I don't know, maybe out west it's not too shabby, but from the Midwest east, it's going to be lousy. All right, let's talk about some role-playing game news, because while the Dune Adventures in the Imperium Fall of the Imperium hardcover is going to arrive in stores next month, the PDF is now out. And here's the latest from Modiphius Entertainment. The end of 10,000 years of empire. The time of the Imperium is ending. Emperor Shaddam IV is about to enact a plan to destroy the popular House Atreides using their old enemy, House Harkonnen. But this is merely the spark that sets the known universe on fire. Ancient plans are in motion, and one woman's betrayal of her sisterhood places the fate of the Imperium in the hands of her son, Paul Atreides. On the desert planet of Arrakis, the wheel of fate is poised to turn and sweep everything in its path away. A storm is coming, one that will tear across every planet in the galaxy. Your house will find themselves in the midst of that storm. But will you survive or be torn to shreds? Will you help the Atreides or watch Erechine burn in silence? Can you secure new spice supplies while the Harkonnen regime falters and fails to provide? Will you align with the insurgent Fremen or seize the chance to bargain for more power from a desperate empire on the brink of losing his destiny? In this epic campaign, you can experience the events of Frank Herbert's groundbreaking novel Dune as part of the incredible story. While the main events may be set, the fate of your house is not. The fall of the Imperium and the rise of Muad'Dib will tear the known universe apart. Side with the Fremen against the Imperium and risk the Emperor destroying you too. But remain loyal for too long and you will face the onslaught of the Fremen jihad. Can your house navigate the webs of plot and treachery to determine its own fate in this time of prophecy and destiny? This 144-page full-color campaign PDF takes you from the Imperium era to the ascension of Muad'Dib era. It also includes details on continuing your campaign in the new regime, including the Quizerets as a new faction and detail on the state of the known universe after Paul takes the throne. The campaign itself is broken into 4 acts, each with 3 full adventures, several more story seeds, and expansion advice. The 144-page hardcover will hit stores on April 5th. It's going to carry an MSRP of $52, but you can grab the PDF right now over at DriveThruRPG for $25. So if you took advantage of the Dune bundle that was out there very recently, you will be very, very happy to see this popping up. In fact, I should mention that the Dune releases are still on sale. So even if you want to get the physical books, they are on sale over at Modiphius Entertainment's American and English websites. So now, granted, you're not going to save like you did in that bundle with the PDFs where you got essentially, what was it, everything for Dune for like $18? It was crazy, insane, an insanely good deal. You won't get those kind of savings, but you can still save. And I am very, very interested in checking this out. I should also mention that I talked about this a little bit last night. We've got a new reviewer who is joining us. Hopefully he'll hang around. Because outside of Sammy and, of course, Elliot back in the day, and we did have a reviewer, James Engelhardt, who was with us, I want to say, for the first couple of years that we had the Gaming Gang. Outside of that, the reviewers come and go pretty quickly. And it's not as if I'm some sort of slave driver or anything like that. I think some people don't realize that doing game reviews are a lot more time consuming than they thought. I think a lot of times people think they can just, yeah, easy, I can rock this out. And it's suddenly like, oh, wait a second. This is a lot more detailed than I thought it would be. Kevin King says the recent 2 movies have rekindled their interest. They have not shelled out for the role-playing game yet, though. Matthew Constantine says, darn it, I've got to actually read the Dune rule book. A friend gifted it to me, but they haven't gotten to it. It is all scene-based. It's all acts. So it is, I will point out, I mean, for the most part, it is kind of on rails for a lot of it. But as far as the like Agents of Dune and then the follow-up to it where you've created your own house, and even in Fall of the Imperium, looks like you're still playing with your created house. Some pretty cool stuff goes on. Really, really well done. But I was talking about we have a new reviewer because I believe they are going to be reviewing some of the Dune releases that I have not had an opportunity to tackle. Matthew Constantine says, yeah, they do game reviews, but they're on their schedule and to their very non-exacting standards. They don't have to answer to anyone else. I don't tend to really oversee that much on the reviewers. In fact, I always tell Sammy that I think she gets a little too in-depth in her reviews. She doesn't necessarily have to make them as in-depth as they are. And then I think some of the new reviewers that have come along and kind of popped in for one review and then left try to replicate Sammy's style, and it is definitely not easy to do that. I tell people all the time, it's like, be yourself. Just do your thing. Matthew Constantine says, doing reviews for other people who have actual expectations? Nah. Flaming Heron says, so an essay is too long? Well, I looked at some of the written reviews we did way back in the day, and I'm like, no, never again, never again. I mean, we're talking essentially 3 pages of text. It's like, no. On to our next news piece. Another April 5th release is the Blade Runner, the role-playing game, case file number 2, Fiery Angels. I've got the scoop from Free League Publishing. This new investigation starts off with the Blade Runners assigned to question a suspect arrested while trying to infiltrate the Wallace Corporation memory vaults. The case leads the team down a perilous path that explores the boundaries of replicant technology and its consequences. The player characters need to contend with an array of physical, mental, and moral challenges. Following the same deluxe format and packaging as the award-winning Case File 1, Electric Dreams, included in the Blade Runner role-playing game starter set, Case File 2, Fiery Angels, features a new thrilling investigative scenario and a host of in-world handouts, photos, maps, and more. This box set includes a beautifully illustrated and detailed scenario book with locations, characters, events, and leads to follow. 11 handouts, including a variety of in-world artifacts and Esper photos, 7 full-color maps, a custom manila envelope for the players to keep their evidence safe in. You'd be surprised, but that envelope is really handy for the players. It really is. As well as 14 high-quality custom cards for non-player characters. Blade Runner, the role-playing game, Adventure Case File 02, Fiery Angels. It's going to carry an MSRP of $39.95 when it arrives in stores next month on April 5th. I will assume that we will see the PDF possibly a little bit ahead of that. I have the PDF. Free League Publishing has sent me the PDF through Drive-Thru RPG. It is not available over on Drive-Thru RPG as of yet. I'm going to take a guess. We're probably looking at $19.99 for the PDF. And I have not cracked it open. I have not started taking a peek at it yet, outside of grabbing some of these images of the interiors. So these interiors that you're seeing right now are from the PDF for Fiery Angels. Matthew Contents, how about English, Jeff? Yes, and W. Forge points out, M. Emmett Walsh just passed away yesterday. I know. I saw that myself. And the first thing I thought of, first thing that popped in my head was Blade Runner. Yep, first thing I thought, and I mean, he was in, my gosh, dozens and dozens of films. But the one that immediately popped to mind was Blade Runner. Real good character actor. Really, really good character actor. Matthew Constantine says the Blade Runner role-playing game is one they're very curious about, but they don't have a very regular in-person group, and they like that. So Dangar the Mighty says, sweet, new scenario for Blade Runner. Kevin King says they've got it. They don't have a group to play because their playgroup isn't interested in it. That blows. That sucks. Carolyn says one of their favorite films and definitely a game that's on their radar. If you are curious, I have reviewed it. I have reviewed the starter set, which I thought was excellent. In fact, that's why I dinged the starter set for the Walking Dead universe role-playing, because comparing it to what you got in the Blade Runner, the role-playing game starter set, and how much content there was in the adventure, and looking at the starter set for the Walking Dead universe role-playing, night and day. I was like, wow, this is kind of bare bones for the Walking Dead universe role-playing. So the starter set for Blade Runner is really, really nicely done. And the core rulebook is very good too. Pete Strakulich says, great film. And also throws a bit of a nod out there for Rutger Hauer. All right, moving right along. Following a successful Kickstarter run, the end of everything for 5e D&D is now available in PDF from Frog God Games. And I've got the skinny. Crops are failing. The undead rise. An ancient evil stirs in the north, and even magic seems tainted. Why is everything failing? Is there a group of adventurers that has the grit, bravery, and tenacity to stop the end of everything? Sure, massive, sprawling, and dangerous D&D campaigns are cool. But what about one imbued with the cosmic horror of the Cthulhu mythos? If you dare, dive into the pages of this enormous campaign adventure, The End of Everything. The End of Everything is a campaign and setting book that takes characters from 1st through 12th level. The book features entirely new material and information regarding the fascinating Haunted Steppes region of the Lost Lands, including revised and more detailed regional maps, several new town and village maps, and accompanying setting lore, many new and expanded monsters, the Gnoll, a new playable race, the Geomancer, a new arcane tradition, 4 new setting-specific character backgrounds, new magic items, new and simple mass combat rules. Why would anyone need that? And of course, corruption value, a new game mechanic. The adventure picks up in the rough and tumble port town of Port Mandai. Port Mandai passes for the commercial hub of the stark and desolate Haunted Steppes, a far northern region of the Lost Lands known for its calamitous past. Whatever brings the adventurers to this remote location, odd things start happening shortly after they start exploring Port Mandai. These weird events start discreetly enough. Maybe a glass suddenly slides off a shelf to shatter on the floor, or a distant, dolorous bell of unknown source will ring for a minute, then suddenly stop. As the characters move through the adventure with the early prospects of some interesting employment taking them into the heart of the steppes, it becomes increasingly apparent that something very wrong is happening. The crops are starting to wilt and die. The dead are increasingly unquiet and are rising from their graves. The seasons themselves seem to be reversing. There even seems to be some sort of a taint or obstruction to magic itself. What can be causing all these devastating changes? A first thought is that the wards that hold back the demi-plane of shadow far to the north are failing, and the cursed shadow horde that has afflicted this region for thousands of years is returning. However, after much exploration across the vast steppes, visiting such dangerous and incredible locations such as Kale's Doom and the long-abandoned Wizards College, Tangent College, the truth is revealed. And that truth is more horrible and terrifying than anyone could have imagined. It will come down to this simple fact. Can these adventurers unite the fractious cultures of the steppes in order to face a gathering horde of the most horrid and dangerous creatures ever assembled? And all that just in order to gain themselves the chance to face a being of legend and myth that the mere thought of makes most mortals faint in fear? that is what it will take to prevent the end of everything. Do you have what it takes? This 223-page PDF is available right now over at Drive-Thru RPG for $26.99. I like the fact that this is going to utilize the Cthulhu mythos. I'm like, yes. I think that would be pretty cool. Though I got to say, I probably would have liked to have seen this for Swords and Wizardry, but seeing that Swords and Wizardry has moved on to another publisher, I think Frog God Games only does 5e stuff now. I think that is it. This was a pretty successful Kickstarter too. So something to keep in mind and maybe take a peek at. Kevin King says Rust and Redemption versus the end of everything. Two very different takes, I bet. One will say it's the end and ask you how you feel. The other will tell you what to shoot. Yes, because Rust and Redemption is, I believe, if I remember correctly, right now, I think Monte Cook Games has a trio of new Cypher system releases that are hitting stores or will be hitting stores in the very near future. So I will probably share a little bit of news about those next week. I have shared a news piece for Rust and Redemption already. Unfortunately, Frog God Games is not really a company I have a relationship with, actually. I had a little bit of a relationship with them when Matthew Finch was still selling Swords and Wizardry through them. But once he left to go to Mythmere Games or to form Mythmere Games, there went that connection. I should reach out to them, see about maybe checking out some stuff. Just like I really wish that Monte Cook Games was on, the same page with us, but that just never comes about either. Kevin R. Smith says they think they might also do some old school essentials. Well, like I said, I remember they used to do pretty much almost everything that came out from them was available as 5e or Swords and Wizardry. So it wouldn't be too big of a change to go to OSE. I mean, a little bit of a swap, seeing that Swords and Wizardry is built off of original D&D as opposed to basic expert, but 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So Chris Lundgren and John Snyder are with us in chat. Coco B has also popped on in. I think I have said hello to everyone who is hanging out with us tonight. If not, I apologize. Howdy, folks. So let's move on to my final news piece, because there's another successful Kickstarter, which is now out in PDF. And here's what I know about the Chronicles of Future Earth Player's Guide from Typhon Games, a cosmic fantasy role-playing game in the post-historical age Player's Guide. It includes everything a player needs to play. In the last centuries of the 5th Cycliad, a great malaise descended on the lands of humankind. I almost said mankind. It's humankind. From the edges of reality, ancient enemies begin to tear at the slumbering civilizations of Earth to feast on their decaying, rotting flesh. And all around arose a cry for heroes to stand against the dying of the light and save the world from the sins of its past. The Chronicles of Future Earth is a cosmic fantasy role-playing game set in the far, far future of, you guessed it, the planet Earth. A game of sorcery and demons, fallen civilizations and ancient technologies, monsters, mysteries, and mind-shattering dimensions. This player's guide provides all you need to create and play characters in this fantastic and fascinating world. Together with its companion volumes, The Guide to Future Earth and The Chronicler's Guide, It uses the Cosmic Fate system, a new incarnation of the Fate core system, to bring you a deep, original, and action-packed game. This player's guide contains full rules for play, including actions, combat, advancement, and relationships. Detailed character generation, with many homelands and kindreds, including the Generi cousins of humankind and the Esteri not humans of Earth. Maps of the venerable autocracy and the provinces of Hyverinium. Rules for magic and mysticism, including cantrips, divine magic, and sorcery. Detailed equipment lists, an introduction to the springtide civilizations, and much, much more. The Chronicles of Future Earth's Player's Guide 378-page hardcover can be ordered as a print on demand at Drive-Thru RPG. It's going to include the PDF for $60, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $25. Very interesting. So we have got what appears to be a bit of a dying Earth vibe when the dying Earth is actually dying. So, this is actually written by Sarah Newton. So if you are familiar with Sarah's work, Sarah and her company Mindjammer Press, I guess, has merged together with Typhon Games. So it is one entity now. But Sarah Newton did, of course, Mindjammer is probably one of her most popular role-playing games. She was behind the original Achtung Cthulhu role-playing game system, which used Call of Cthulhu's rules. So Sarah's been around for a good while and has a lot of credits under her belt. And this artwork looks pretty good. Artwork looks pretty solid. And interestingly enough, it's for Fate. Nice to see some support for Fate. I've never really delved too deeply into Fate, but I know a lot of people really love that system. They're big-time fans of it. I think it plays a little more like a storytelling game as opposed to strictly rolling a bunch of dice, sort of RPG. But kind of cool. Kevin King says, another take on Vance's Dying Earth? Well, I don't think it's specifically Jack Vance's Dying Earth, but that's the vibe I'm getting. I'm certainly getting that. And getting in a little detail about, I can never pronounce this either, Lost Caverns of Sochanth. Just throwing it out there. And converting it over to 5e. Very nice. Very nice. John Snyder says they must run a hard 5e as their group is always struggling. Really happy to arrive safely to a town. What? 5e is supposed to be a cakewalk. Cakewalk, I say. Chris Lundgren says, Fate gets confusing depending on the edition you run. They've been reading the condensed version versus the accelerated version. And then there's Fate Core. So you've got that. Yes. Very nice. Very nice. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, by all means, And leave a comment if you have an opportunity to, and comments really help show engagement and help share these videos with the fine folks who aren't aware of the Gaming Gang channel. But of course, if you like the Gaming Gang, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. So refreshing. And I do want to mention, there are some of you out there who stop by paypal.me, the Gaming Gang, and make not small donations, including good friend of the show, Joshua Edwards. Big tip of the cap, as well as Agile Monk and our friend, the Madman. Also, there are some of you out there who buy more than a 2-liter bottle of soda for the Gaming Gang team. So thank you very, very much for that. All righty, as I mentioned, I am going to be revealing the winner of the Mutant Year Zero core rulebook as well as Ad Astra in PDF. I will do so in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Visit our snack bar and treat yourself to some delicious Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches. Cook the Castleberry way, slowly over open pits of glowing charcoal, then seasoned with a sauce that's zesty, yet delightfully mild to please the entire family. Also at the snack bar, you'll find popcorn and soft drinks and candy and French fries to go with your Castleberry's barbecue sandwiches. There's plenty of time before the movie starts, so visit our snack bar right now for Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches.
Yes, there's an air about hot coffee that's hard to resist. Full-bodied, refreshing hot coffee makes any time a pleasant interlude. Won't you have some now?
What's funny?
Potato chips in that? You're kidding.
No, Pringles newfangled potato chips.
Newfangled?
Yeah, the ones that stay fresh.
Potato chips that stay fresh.
Yeah, and not broken.
Not broken. Ooh, who sold you that, Charlie?
No, kid. Look, crushed through canister. And airtight. Now watch, Joe, because there's a whole bag full of chips in here.
Hey, they're not broken.
I know.
Fresh.
And Pringles stay fresh. You can recap them.
Hey, look how they stack together.
Made a new way. That's why the canister holds as many chips as a big bag.
How about that? Unbroken potato chips that stay fresh. You know, this Pringles guy should be taken seriously. Pringles newfangled potato chips.
This volunteer doesn't drink Wilkins instant coffee.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Oh, I do.
Science hunts Amazon Gillman in the most astounding expedition of our time.
This is exactly as it was 150 million years ago when it was part of the Devonian era.
As man continues his conquest of the unknown, daring underwater adventurers challenge the world's most treacherous waters to find the only living link with the beginning of time. Creatures from the Black Lagoon, rising from the monstrous depths to astound and terrorize the world. No. Feel the frightening fury of a man-beast, aroused to strange emotions by its first sight of a woman. See underwater thrills never filmed before, amazing underwater battles never dreamed of before. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Starring Richard Carlson and Julia Adams, the screen's first underwater 3D thrill.
I always chuckle when I see some of these commercials where it's for food and somebody opens up their cabinet and there's just a cabinet full of that product. Like that Pringles commercial. Guy opens it up. There must be 10 cans of Pringles, I think, in that cabinet. It's like, my God, man. How much sodium do you need? That's bad for your heart, man. Matthew Constantine says they saw a creature from the Black Lagoon at a friend's house when they were maybe 4. Fell in love with movies that day. Kevin R. Smith says they remember when one of the local stations broadcast the 3D version. They were selling glasses at the convenience stores. Yes, they did that in Chicago too. And you could buy the 3D glasses at 7-Eleven. So I remember that. I think there was another 3D movie that they did. I remember when I was probably a freshman or sophomore in high school, 3D was kind of making a comeback. At least it did for a handful of movies. I think maybe 3 or 4. One was called Coming At Ya. And it was just awful. The 3D wasn't bad, but the films that they attached to the 3D to were just god awful. They were not any good at all. All right, so I'm going to announce our winner for Mutineer Zero Core Book and the Ad Astra PDF. And I rolled out this contest last night, made it pretty easy. All you had to do was be a subscriber, give the video hopefully a thumbs up. No way I can really check that. And share a comment about what you might find interesting about Mutineer Zero. And our winner is Garland. Garland, send me an email to Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com, and I will get those PDFs out to you. Also should remind you, if you have not voted in this round of the March Tabletop Role-Playing Game Madness event, be sure to vote. We are down to the Elite 8, and the matchups are Symborum versus Dragonbane, Pendragon versus Call of Cthulhu, Alien the Role-Playing Game, kind of a surprise there. I think that's our Cinderella right now, versus Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and lastly, we have Forbidden Lands versus Traveler. So you still have a couple of days to vote in this round. And of course, it's going to take us to our final 4. And if you are curious how you can go about voting, if you go to the Gaming Gang page on YouTube, if you click on the community tab, scroll down a little bit, and you will see the 2 links for both the Arneson and the Gygax divisions. So we will eventually have the last role-playing game standing, and I will be running that in April. So Flaming Heron says the final 2 are going to be Traveler and Call of Cthulhu. That is certainly a possibility. That is certainly a possibility. I'm thinking it could end up being Call of Cthulhu and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. All depends. All depends on who comes out on top in the Forbidden Lands and Traveler battle. I got to be honest, I don't see Pendragon knocking off Call of Cthulhu. I sort of get the feeling that I think Dragonbane is going to knock off Symborum, but Symborum's held out. It is gotten where it's at. So as you can see, still representation for Free League Publishing and Chaosium Inc., obviously enough, plus Mongoose Publishing because of Traveler, and my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games with Whiffrip. So, pretty cool, pretty cool. Chris Lundgren says, damn ads right when you're listening is annoying. Kevin R. Smith says, do you know if that is the Survive This Mechanic version or OSR version? I'm not sure what he was talking about. And Matai, taking a guess at that, is creating tabletop role-playing games, is joining us in chat. I believe this is a first-time visit in chat for them, so welcome aboard. Says, remember when they were a kid in the 80s, they played King Kong in 3D on TV. You had to buy a bucket of KFC chicken to get the glasses. That's pretty wild. I don't think King Kong was actually filmed as a 3D movie. Although I could see, making it into a 3D film. It's not, I mean, the red and green, or no, I'm sorry, red and blue lenses for 3D, I think. John Brunhaver is with us. Good to see you, John. Says they think there's a Warhammer Fantasy Humble Bundle, if it wasn't already in the news. Yes, I shared that news yesterday. So I talked about that yesterday, that it is a phenomenal deal, and it includes all 5 chapters of the director's cut of the Enemy Within campaign, as well as the companions for it. The starter set, the core rule book, a lot of goodies for, if I remember correctly, it's $25 at a $25 level for that humble bundle. So yes, did talk about that yesterday. Matthew Constantine says, plenty of the movies from the 2010s 3D run weren't filmed in 3D, just tacked on post-production. I got to say, I think I've only gone to see one IMAX film. And to be honest, I found it more of a distraction than anything else. Tessie Trekkie says, turns out they're buying a lot more print-on-demand books from Drive-Thru RPG since they opened a printing location locally and shipping became far more reasonable. Flaming Heron says they'd be all over that Whiffrip 4th edition bundle if they didn't already have all the PDFs. Yep. That is the case. So, a little while ago, I was talking about how I'm kind of kicking around, changing things up a little bit with how I do videos. Because I have had folks in the past, and recently too, say that I come out with too much content. That there is simply too much content on the Gaming Gang channel. And I don't know, maybe that is the case. Maybe I would have more views if I did less content. I don't know. But as an example, I mentioned it before, it seems now that the live stream has kind of settled into around 300 views per show, which I find is, in my opinion, it's too low. I'd like it higher than that. I would certainly like to see it like 400, because, I like to see growth, not just the same all the time. And I don't know if it's a YouTube thing where it's sort of like, well, really, we only want to get you so much traffic and then that's it. Because that's not surprising if that were the case. Because, it's all of these companies are all looking for their nut, right? Their slice of the pie. Anyway, what I'm considering doing is sharing fewer first look videos. And what I will probably do, I will float out to publishers when they're sending me stuff, and I will ask them, do they want the first look video or do they just want the review? Matthew Constantine points out YouTube keeps changing its way of doing stuff. That's a constant. That is not unusual. YouTube tells you one thing and then 2 months later, it's something different. So Matthew points out their videos usually top out at 20 views. Once in a while, they have 50 or 100, but mostly 20 to 25. And Pete Strakulich and Semper Buffo, why did I say Buffo? Buffo are both saying that they enjoy the content. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Flaming Heron says, too much. Well, I can see it. I can understand that. People start, when they get a notification every day, and I do know that there are a lot of people out there who are subscribers who did not ring the bell. They have not clicked on the bell so that they get notified when there's a new video. And then I also have heard, not necessarily just this channel, I've heard from people from other channels saying that even if somebody subscribes and they click that bell, that it is possible they will not receive notifications that you have a new video out. So I'm sure that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if a viewer who subscribes to a lot of channels and has clicked on the bell for a lot of channels to be notified, maybe doesn't get all the notifications, what have you. But you figure we're approaching 13,000 subscribers. And we don't even pull in 10% of those subs as viewers on a video. To me, I find that kind of unusual because it's not like I do a lot of contests that where I'm like, oh, yeah, you got to be a subscriber. And that's going to drive you to subscribe. Right? When I would do the giveaways for D&D, yes, that I could understand. Doing the giveaway for Ad Astra, and I mean absolutely no disrespect to my friends over at Free League Publishing, but this certainly is not going to be driving 100 new subscribers to the channel. It's just, personally, I think if I'm going to give something away, you should be a subscriber to be able to get that. Because, come on, it doesn't cost you anything. I'm not selling memberships to the channel or anything along those lines. But I find it kind of unusual that we're almost to 13,000 subscribers, yet videos pull in about 300 views, 250 to 400 for the most part. So I don't know. And one of the reasons why I did first look videos in the first place was to kind of boost the views and everything and the watch time numbers and stuff. But if it's kind of cannibalizing from other videos, well, I don't know. I don't know. Of course, like war games, board games, stuff like that, I will probably still do unboxing videos for the great majority of them. Role-playing games, maybe not so much. Some of them I will, some of them I won't. So as an example, I will do a Paizo preview this month when that package arrives because it's got the Monster Core. It's also got the 200th Adventure. It's got a couple of flip mats. So I will do that. But as an example, like Arkham is supposed to be coming my way, the physical book for Call of Cthulhu. I am considering reading it now because I have the PDF. I've had the PDF for a while. Reading it now so that when it shows up, say in 4 days or so, I'll just shoot the review and get the review out there as opposed to doing a first look and then following that up with a review. Now, having said this, the reviews will probably go a little bit longer so that I can go into a little more depth about what you're getting. Because a lot of times, if I've done a first look video and I do a review, I tend to kind of flip through pretty quickly. The books, I don't really stop and discuss like each section or anything like that because we've already kind of done that with the first look video as we've flipped through and taken a look at it for the first time together. I don't know. Just kind of bouncing this stuff around. Matthew Constantine says, I usually show up on their YouTube homepage, but they subscribe somewhere. They need to purposely go to their page to find the vids. Chris Lundgren says they've heard that if people watch your channel on the YouTube app on a Roku, it can help bring in more views. As how that works, I don't know. That's weird. People watch you on the Roku app. It's weird because I have a Roku box. In fact, I just went and bought a new streaming box, and it's just a $20 box from Walmart. But I was able to, really didn't jailbreak it. I mean, it was, easily modded right off the bat. So I've been playing around with some stuff with that on my dad's TV to get him more content to watch. Tessie Trekkie says, part of it is the glut of interesting content creators on YouTube. They did some quick numbers and they get a notification about every 10 minutes from YouTube. Yeah, see, and I could see where you're just, it gets to the point where you're just going to kind of ignore it because you're getting so many notifications. Kevin King says they don't watch most videos from the channels they subscribe to. They subscribe just to keep an eye out for content that they might want to click on. Kevin R. Smith points out, the way YouTube works, it doesn't necessarily show you videos from all your subscriptions. So people may forget they've subscribed. Yeah, I understand that. I'm sure there are quite a few people who have subscribed to the Gaming Gang who absolutely forget that they subscribe to the Gaming Gang. And they probably subscribed because I was giving away the alternate art edition of some D&D book. So that is very, very possible. Chris Lundgren says that he and the wife watch the Gaming Gang channel on their TV all the time using Roku and give likes there. Anyway, once again, I'm just kind of floating some ideas out there. It's just weird because when I went to the all news edition of the Dispatch, I think the first episode we were over 500 views. And then for the first week, which would have been like 3 episodes, right? We were over 400 views. And then we got into the 300s. And now we don't crack 300 views on the video until a couple of days after it aired. So it's like, It's kind of like, okay, all righty then. Oh. Although, it's kind of funny, and I don't know if my best friend Elliot Miller is watching this episode tonight. He's been kind of catching the shows, skipping the news and just watching the random musings stuff. And his channel, Voice of E, it was really weird because he would do kind of like a little bit, like a shtick for each video. And he would dress in costumes and stuff like that. And for one, quite a few people kind of lifted that idea from Elliot. Elliot was really the first one covering tabletop gaming that was doing that kind of stuff. And now I notice there's quite a few out there who, dress in different costumes and stuff like that. And his videos would get, outside of that Supergirl one that's at 400,000 views. Just his regular reviews would get 2,000, 3,000 views. Some of them, they were 1,500 views, whatever. But the weirdest thing was he hardly got likes. He would have a video that might have 1,500 views and 12 likes. It was like, what? It's like, how the hell does that happen? Plus, he had somebody that was, I guess, intentionally downvoting his videos because it was really weird. There was a period of time where he was just getting, and they were always from some Russia or something like that, and it would be half and half. It was he would get 20 likes and 20 thumbs down. And of course, these people were idiots. That was back when they used to show you the up and down. Now, as a content creator, you still get to see the down, but the audience doesn't. They don't show a track of how many thumbs down your videos get. Thankfully, I got to say, on average, channel runs at about 95% positive thumbs up, which I'm very happy with. Very happy with. But I just thought it was the weirdest thing that Elliot would get views. He'd get a good number of views, but not a ton of engagement from the people watching. Not a lot of comments. It was really bizarre. So let's see what's cooking here in chat, and then we're going to wrap up in just a few moments. Sarah D says this is the only channel she gets notifications for. I want to get here and find my seat in the shadows ASAP. Well, at least you get a notification that the stream has started. I know we have heard over the years from a lot of people who all of a sudden they pop into chat and they're like, why didn't I get a notification? I didn't get a notification the stream started. So Chris Lundgren says, happened to them recently with their other favorite channel. They also enjoy Rob's Tabletop. Isn't that, trying to remember, isn't Rob an older guy? Does he do more war game stuff too? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Anyway, so Chris says they enjoy Rob's Tabletop and they hadn't seen anything suggested for months. So I looked and YouTube had unsubbed them. They were pissed. Kevin R. Smith says you may want to put the most noteworthy news item in the title or the subject of the rant if you know what it's going to be. I never know what the hell I'm going to. Very rarely do I know. And yes, I have thought of that, Kevin. I have thought of not just having it be episode 1036. So yes, I have considered doing that and maybe having the episode number happen to be in the show notes. So yes, I that is something that I've bounced around. I don't want to do where it's like clickbait. That I will not do. I will not do stuff like, is Wizards of the Coast eating babies? ? And then have a thumbnail like a little kid. Just have a stock photo of a little baby and then a stock photo of someone else standing there going Tune in to find out. Pete Drekulich says 10,000 goons isn't worth one true role-playing game player. Thank you for the kind words. Gerlin says lots of folks are pretty lazy about their likes. I will be the first to admit I do not toss a like out there for every video I watch. But if I find myself watching a video for more than a few minutes, I do give it a like. I do. So, Sumper Buffo says Rob and his wife are from Canada. Kevin R. Smith says, if you're having problems getting notified of the Gaming Gang videos, you can click the bell and select all. Yep. That is what I mean by ringing that bell when I wrap things up. Chris Lundgren says, yes, he says nice things about your channel too. He does mostly board games and tabletop miniatures games, some RPGs. I thought I don't know Rob. I have seen Rob online. I mean, I have not seen him like at a convention or anything. In fact, really the only other like content creators that I stumble across quite a bit at Gen Con is the Player's Aid. So I stumble across Grant and Alexander just about every year. And then last year I did run across Steven from Roll for Combat and we chatted for a bit. So we've got that. But I had never met Rob. I didn't even think Rob probably knew who the hell I am. See, that's my assumption too. I assume other content creators have absolutely no idea who I am. Back in the day, they certainly did. When it was Elliot and I, and we rolled out our podcast, yeah, people took notice. People really took notice because we were doing stuff that no one else was. We were doing a podcast and a news site. We were the first ones to do that. But like just about everything else, you come up with an idea and then somebody has more money they can throw behind that same idea. You get left in the dust. So Fleming Heron says, no goofy looks in pointing at the games, Jeff. They think a lot is in the thumbnail and the name of the video. I believe it. I could say that. I could certainly see that. Tessie Trekkie says, yes, Wizards of the Coast is eating babies. Baby kittens. Oh, man. Not good. Jeff, read this role-playing game book and you'll never believe what happened next. Right? Yes. Scandal in the Satanic Panic episode. That should work. The number of scandal videos on gaming channels is getting tedious. I don't know if Kevin King means Satanic Panic scandals or just scandals. The real scandal is the clickbait. That's the scandal. Carolyn says clickbait culture is excessively tiresome. It is. It really is. And but the problem is that the viewers out there just don't make a stand. They don't make a stand. Just like there are some websites out there that I've talked about this before. If you go to thegaminggang.com, regardless if you like the design of the website or not, you will not get hammered with advertisements. There are no pop-up ads. There are no automatic playing videos. There's nothing outside of some banner advertisements, some sidebar advertisements, very few. And that is it. And it's just disheartening to see other content creators or other members of the gaming press have their websites that, for one, just look awful. They just look god-awful. And it's just plastered with ads. And advertising that essentially blocks you from actually reading the article that you clicked on to see. That you have to actually maneuver around the advertising to see the article. Yet, all that stuff gets pushed through Google News. All those websites get pushed through Google News. And websites that don't engage in those kind of tactics, well, good luck. Good luck getting your content out there because it's just not going to happen. Matthew Blackwell's with us in chat. We've had a few people popping in to chat in the past few moments. Doomed Colonist is also with us. Doomed Colonist says, I watched several videos. Now, remember, the channel is The Gaming Gang. Don't forget the. Yeah, there we go. Doomed Colonist says, I watched several Gaming Gang videos, and the last one shocked me. Chris Lundgren says, it's Rob Oren. Yes, that's his last name. Thank you. And he said nice things about your channel. Rob's Tabletop World is his channel. Yeah. He also mentioned in live chat that he has the same issue of low viewership at times. Yeah, I get it. If I remember right, I think Rob shoots his stuff. He's kind of at a little bit of an angle, and you see like his game collection and stuff behind him too. Kevin R. Smith says, I think Professor Dungeon Master did a video where he said that if you don't want a bunch of scandal videos, watch other content on his channel. That's somebody else he pulls in a lot of views. He really does. Now, I'll see stuff where it's always D&D content. D&D content really pulls in the views kind of no matter what it is. Just always pulls in the views. And there was some, and I get recommendations all the time from channels I've never heard of. And I'll see stuff where it's just a regular thumbnail, and it's not, thankfully, it's not stock photography. It's the actual host. And it'll just say whatever about D&D. And then you look, and it's got like 23,000 views. And you go take a peek at the channel, and it's got like 1,000 subs. You're like, geez. And I mean, it's, I'm not knocking their content, but it's just shot on a phone. You can tell it's being shot on an iPhone or whatever. It's like, okay. It's like, all right. Chris Lundgren says they love Professor Dungeon Master. His channel is great. Too nice guy, at least. He really pushes independent RPGs. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm not knocking Professor Dungeon Master at all. I just am saying that, yeah, it seems like he gets a good amount of viewership. Let's see what else we've got here. Do I get views from contests? All depends. It all depends. A lot of times, once again, like a D&D contest, that'll pull in viewers. Other stuff, maybe not so much. But, a lot of this also comes down to the lack of engagement that my social media accounts have. Once again, another thing where it's like, oh, okay, so I've got, 7,000 and some followers on Twitter, and I post something, and it might be, it might just be some cartoon that I saw that's pretty funny, gaming related. I might get, 30 likes on it. I don't know. So I'll float contests out there. I'll float contests in the community tab. Once again, a lot of people don't even know there is a community tab for the channel. Well, I want to do contests. As I mentioned, I'm going to be able to do some giveaways for some Delta Green stuff that's coming soon. But I don't know. I don't know what it'll pull in, to be honest. So Matthew Constantine says, if they ever do a video even related to D&D, it gets better numbers than other stuff. Yeah. Yeah, they tend to. I mean, it used to be, I could depend on a D&D release bringing in, between a first look and a review video, about 20,000 views. And then that dwindled away too. And of course, it certainly didn't help that Wizards of the Coast was holding out on a lot of reviewers. So, but even the D&D stuff, kind of, the numbers on that dropped. And I think part of that is that I probably have a reputation of not being overly kind to Dungeons and Dragons releases from Wizards of the Coast, when the reality is I'm just providing an honest opinion, my honest opinion, on the releases that were coming out from Wizards of the Coast. Doomed Colonist says the popularity of D&D over other games baffles them. It gets so much bad press. It's not that great a system. It feels weird that better products can't get the same kind of foothold. Yep. So what was Chris Lundgren apologizing for? Don't know. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I didn't take offense because I may not have seen it. So there we go. Pete Drakulich asks, what's my favorite game right now? If we are talking about role-playing games, everybody knows I love my Call of Cthulhu. The reality is I would really love to be able to run a fantasy role-playing campaign, be it Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, it could be Shadow Dark, what have you. I would probably want to go with something a little more complex than Shadow Dark. But I mean, I would even consider maybe like second edition AD&D. And I know there are people out there who, poo-poo that. That's not OSR. It's OSR enough for me. But I would say, I would even look at like Forbidden Lands. I think that's kind of a cool Mutineer Zero or Year Zero engine fantasy role-playing game that's got an OSR vibe that I really like. Chris Lundgren says they just got a print-on-demand D&D classic, The Book of Wondrous Inventions, not bad print quality, based on earlier versus Lulu. Yeah, we talked about Lulu being okay. I have heard that, and we talked about this before, that some of the scans that Wizards of the Coast sells on like Dungeon Masters Guild or on Drive-Thru RPG are actually scans that have been floating around for years. They didn't even do the scans. Kind of weird. Semper Buffo says they'll be running a mini campaign in Dune and Star Trek. Very nice. Flaming Aaron says Whiffrip can still get up. Start voting, folks. All right. Doom Colonist says there's so many easier systems to learn compared to D&D. But of course, you know, you got to remember those 8 people who made Dungeons & Dragons cool. They're making their own role-playing game now. See, it's almost like, see the Daggerheart stuff, and it's got nothing to do with Darrington Press. It's just these outlets that I'm seeing and some of their clickbaity titles that have to do with Daggerheart almost makes me want to not provide any coverage at all. Because it's like, come on, really? Come on. Carolyn says what drives them batty is telling someone that they play tabletop role-playing games, get a blank stare, and then they say, games like Dungeons & Dragons, suddenly they're an expert. Matthew Constantine says, fingers crossed I'll be running some Dungeon Crawl Classics, another game I'd be happy to run. If that goes well, they might do Pendragon. Well, the new core book comes out supposedly next month, or maybe Alien later this year. Matthew Blackwell says they're going to pass on Daggerheart. Chris Lundgren asks, is there an RPG system you just hate the mechanic but love the setting and dread running the system? Well, once again, you got to remember, I mainly run Call of Cthulhu. Let's see. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. I am trying to think if there's, you know, I would probably say, and it's not I don't dread it or I hate the mechanics, because I actually think second edition Pathfinder stands out because of its 3-action economy. I just wish there was some way to incorporate the 3-action economy in a system where combat does not take as long as it does. And yes, I get it. One of its selling points is all those different things that your characters can do and specialize in more so than really any other fantasy role-playing game. I just wish it would move quicker. Kevin King says they've had success with Dungeon Crawl Classics, especially if beer is involved. Rogue Thinker's with us. What about Hackmaster? I have absolutely no familiarity with Hackmaster. I think I chatted with Jolly Blackburn over at Origins years ago for a few minutes, and that was about the extent of it. Space 1889, yeah, that's a good example. Cool setting, not a very good system. Not a very good system. So Garland says the 3-action economy is a joy, but combat takes quite some time. Yeah, that's what I mean. I like the fact that the players all have different stuff and you can create these synergies, but combat takes a good amount of time. All righty, that is it for this time out. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. I'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as my upcoming first look at, yes, it will be a first look video, because this was sent to me ahead of my, I think I'm cutting down on first look videos. The Jewel of the Indigo Isles. Whew. I was like, that is the title, right? From Roll for Combat. Yes, this looks pretty cool. This is the Pathfinder edition. So I will be sharing a first look at that very soon. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you took part in chat while watching live, big tip of the cap, because you're not only keeping me company, you're keeping each other company as well. But I know a lot of you out there, you don't get an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the channel. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Enjoy the rest of the week. Have a great weekend. I will be back on Tuesday. And of course, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.